Now, Elizabeth Warren appeared on Seth Meyers' show. I do have to give a shout out to Seth Meyers because Seth Meyers was actually like the only late night host who was legitimate and fair to Bernie and didn't play into the media narrative against him. And post Nevada, he was gaining a lot of praise from Seth Meyers, so I do have to give him credit for that. Um, but Elizabeth Warren, we haven't really seen her in the public eye. All she's done is have her staffers send out a couple of tweets and then create her narcissistic group called Warren Democrats. And I'm really happy that I haven't seen her in a long time because I can't stand to look at her. I can't stand to listen to her because we know that she's a sellout, a fraud, and a narcissist. But Seth Meyers asked her a question about, hey, you know, you and Bernie seem to be the most lockstep in issues. How come you haven't endorsed anyone?
You haven't endorsed a candidate yet, and it certainly seems like your positions line up more in lockstep with Senator Sanders than they do with Joe Biden. Are you going to endorse, or is this something you're considering to wait on?
You know, again, I really just want to say right now, you know, it's less about the politics and much more about the crisis that our country is in. And I think that's really where our focus got to be at this moment. So that's where I'm keeping my attention right now. We don't get to do any political rallies at this moment anyway.
So that's a total cop-out, and it's exactly what I would expect from Elizabeth Warren. This is such an Elizabeth Warren response, it's insane. This is exactly what you would expect. This is exactly what you would predict to hear from her. But she just lied out of her ass right there. Because there was a big gap between, there was like a couple week gap or something like that, post when she dropped out, and then once this really went, you know, into serious overdrive in terms of the crisis that we're facing right now. So there was a big gap to endorse. Also, not doing political rallies is a pretty lame excuse for not endorsing. That's very lame, actually. So that's also bogus. But anybody who says, like, oh, you're politicizing the crisis, like, dude, there's politics that plays into the solutions to the crisis as well as what we got into it. And so if you want to just, honestly, that sounds like a Republican talking point, other than anything else. Because you're talking about politics, we're trying to pass legislation to help people in need, and that's politics, right? So just say that. And then also, Elizabeth Warren ain't doing anything about this. She's not doing what Bernie Sanders is doing, like daily live streams, daily addresses, and stuff like that. She's not doing any of that stuff. Bernie Sanders is doing that, so she doesn't even have the cover of, oh, I'm trying to focus on this. You ain't doing ish, all right? Let's be real. Okay, we barely even see you or know what's going on. All you've done so far is just create your own narcissistic group called Warren Democrats to try to boost your ego. That's literally it. But as you can see, man, Elizabeth Warren is a plague on politics because nothing drives her more than ego and narcissism. And so for her, the biggest driving factor is Elizabeth Warren. That's her most important issue because there's a guy in the race who just said he would veto Medicare for all if it were to reach his desk after passing through Congress. And then there's a guy who popularized Medicare for all. And she's choosing not to endorse anybody. So that's kind of a tacit endorsement of Biden. But when you do that, it means you don't care about the issues. And so obviously that's the situation right now. And Elizabeth Warren is the worst. She's a sellout. She's a snake. She's a fraud. She's not a progressive. And I really never, ever want to hear the statement that Elizabeth Warren is a progressive at any point in time ever, because she's not, especially after the massive super PAC that she had, the biggest super PAC in the race. Virtually all of that 14.5 mil came from one person, a private physician. So I never want to hear that ever again.